Morning. Morning, folks. Here's a wee minute to get on board. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Diane. Morning, Dunk. Morning, Christine. Morning, Ali. Morning, Indy Janny. Morning, Jane. Morning, Geordie. Morning, Thomas. Morning, Neil. Ian. Nancy. We'll get to you in a minute now. Robert. Scott. Ian. Jenny. Right, how we doing? Not bad. Hi, Mark. Hi, Margaret. Now, as you probably noticed, folks, the last few Mondays have been very difficult for me. We've had some power outages, we've had the technical difficulties, we've had the internet shut, and the workload's getting a bit heavy. So I might be going to, we'll talk about it, maybe do the news review on a Sunday on the two Davies, and leave the Monday beef until things settle down. Okay, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so Andy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, but it's a bright sunny morning and 5 degrees chilly. Frost last night for the first time this year. So that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. I know what the weather's like with you. Look out your rain, bloody windy. Today I am sporting an HMP Scotland t-shirt made by my good friend Nancy MacGyver for me. Thank you, Nancy. And it's the saltire behind a prison lock. A locked prison gate. Alright, and it says HMP Scotland. So, anyway, here we go. News review from the Colony of Scotland for Monday, the 28th of the 11th, 2022. The Monday started with a mixed bag in the rags. The Herald has health inequalities leads to quantifiable number of cancer cases in Scotland, apparently. 5,000 is how quantifiable it is. Of course, cancer caused by poverty, says loony knuckle-dragging right-wing Rag the Express, but they couldn't say quantifiable quantity because, let's face it, their readers are knuckle-draggers and don't understand quantifiable or quantity. All right, so let's move on. And the Scotsman tells us in energy-rich Scotland, visitor attractions are forced to cut opening times. Now, they're being forced to cut opening times for two reasons, apparently. A, less of us have any money to go to visit attractions, and B, it's too expensive to keep the heating and the light on to open the places. Absolutely wonderful, eh? Energy-rich Scotland, and our visitor attractions can't afford to put the lights on. The other right-wing loony Rag, Gavin Rag, he tells us that some bam-pots want to take the Scottish Government to court who are spending on spending taxpayers' money on fulfilling their manifesto commitments. This one's a doozy. We'll get a wee bit more of that one when we get into it. Okay. But it's a real risk to democracy here, folks. And we'll get a wee bit more of that as we get into it as well. All right. And the National tells us that Keith Brown thinks dissolving Parliament and using the Scottish election as the de facto referendum would not be the correct thing to do during the cost of living crisis. He says leaving Scotland First Ministerless at this point in time would not be a good idea. There's a Davy says here. The reason there is a cost of living crisis is because we're shackled to these bam pots next door. But Mr. Brown, a bit of advice here when it comes to opening your mouth and letting your belly rumble. There's been an extraordinary conference called for in the spring. That's when we'll discuss whether it's going to be a Scottish election or a UK parliamentary election as a plebiscite election. Your opinion is as valid as the next one's, but hold it for when we get in the room and start talking to each other about it. Mental. Right, moving on Monday. Monday started the BBC and the Rags telling us that Westminster Mandarins to take Scottish Government to court for choosing to spend Scottish taxpayers' money on manifesto commitment that the Scottish electorate voted for. Now, this is what I mean about a danger to a democracy. Now, it would appear that the cuckoos in the nest are getting extremely scared. It would appear now that they wish Westminster to tell us which manifesto commitments the Scottish Government can spend our money on. Okay, in this case, what they're telling us is the Scottish Government spending money on a prospectus and on preparing for independence is illegal. Last time I looked, we had an election and we voted for these people with a manifesto commitment to get us independence. But it would appear the cuckoos in the nest want to dictate what the Scottish Government can and cannot spend, which manifesto commitments the Scottish Government can and cannot spend on. So let's, for example, once the Mandarins down that road deem that we can't spend our own money on a prospectus to leave HMS Prison Scotland, I mean, what else would they like do? I mean, the Tories in Scotland don't like baby boxes. They don't like free feminine health products. They don't like concessionary transport for the young and the old. Or they don't like the £25 child benefit, which is there to uplift thousands of children out of poverty. Are they going to run to Westminster and ask Westminster to dictate to us that we can't spend our money on these policies too? So there you have it, folks. The Mandarins in Westminster are about to dictate to the Scottish Government what they can and can't spend Scottish taxpayers' money on. And remember, what they spend Scottish taxpayers' money on is what we vote them in to do, on a prospectus called a manifesto. So democracy is being severely undermined here by the cuckoos in the nest. But there's no surprise there. None. We'll get a wee bit more of that as we go on. As for Labour and this cuckoos in the nest latest Labour are irrelevant in this. They have no power. But they will willingly cheer from the sidelines about the attacks on our democracy. Now, both cuckoos in the nest in Scotland are from political parties which deny Scottish democracy, and they're English political parties. They're not even Scottish political parties. Labour are the worst offenders of them all. Labour, a political movement founded in Scotland, right here in North Lanarkshire, believe it or not, to fight for workers' rights and for home rule for Scotland. But Labour have abandoned democracy in Scotland. You know, absolute disgrace. But we'll get a wee bit more of that as we go on along. Moving on Monday, and the Governor General of the Colony of Scotland is trying to convince Scotland that the only way out of this situation is by abiding by his rules. He tells a Commons Select Committee that Scotland can't have another referendum when ducks are ducks, whatever ducks or ducks means. What he means is there's going to be a sustained period of support for yes, probably at 60% for him. And that sustained period will be as for as long as he says it is. So probably 20 or 30 years. So there you have it. The democracy denying colonisers of Scotland are telling us, no, this is still an equal union, you can leave, but only on our terms and conditions. Woof. And the Supreme Court said we weren't fucking oppressed. Wow. First word democracy denied 5 times in a row by the democracy denying cuckoos and imperial masters in the south. Now they want to tell us what conditions there must be met, what conditions must be met before they're willing to allow us to have our democratic say. Wow. You're right. There's no Keir Hardie wasn't quite from Holytown. He was from Legbaranock, a wee village just a couple of miles down the road from me. Right, moving on. Moving on Monday, and it becomes clear that the Imperial Masters in Londongrad are shutting down trade, and they're shit with trade deals. We'll get to shutting down trade a wee bit further in, okay. Now, the crap trade deals with Australia and New Zealand undermining our livestock farming sector isn't the worst here. Although we are going to get hormone injected beef and lamb coming all the way from New Zealand and Australia undermining our farming sector, that's not the worst there. Now it seems that Liz Truss's trumpeted new trade deal with Japan has seen exports to Japan drop by 400 million in the last year. While in the European Union and using the European Union trade rules, we were exporting 12.3 billion worth of goods to Japan each year. Now, under Truss's super duper British standalone trade deal, we're only exporting 11.8 billion. So what's that? 12.3. So I'm ranked 500 billion. So we're doing $500 million in trade to Japan using the British only trade deal and trade rules. Wow. Talk about absolute crap at international negotiations. Talk about absolute crap at negotiating trade deals. So Liz Truss's super duper UK standalone trade deal with Japan has seen trade drop by £500 million a year. Well done, Tories. You're absolute crap at trade deals. Look at what you did with the EU negotiations. Look at where we are with the NI protocol. We'll get a wee bit more of that shortly. Right, moving on. Monday, here in the colony of Scotland, Lord Bradford, the new chair of the COVID inquiry commission, to meet bereaved families. I hope he set aside a whole lot of time, because there are literally thousands of us. I look forward to receiving a call from his officials to arrange a visit at a time that is convenient to Sarah and I. Now, you might think that's a funny statement there, but the reason why I've just said that is Lord Bradford, the new COVID inquiry head, is to meet bereaved families. Who are these bereaved families? And what is their motive? There is 100,000 at least of us who have lost a loved one to COVID. Is Lord Bradford going to come and see us all? Or is it just special families? Families that think their loss is greater than the rest of yours? I wonder who these people are and what their motives are. I really do. And they're looking for compensation for the public purse. What is it that these people look to achieve? Yep, human rights were violated in the interest of public safety. Was there that? We just left all the doors open and we'd have lost many more older people. Yep, human rights were curtailed while we were on lockdown. And yep, a lot of us lost loved ones to this virus. But to meet bereaved families, I look forward to his call, because I would like to think that my bereavement and my loss wasn't any worse than anybody, or any better than anybody else's. I don't get the point of this. What is it these particular families who are making demands of this inquiry actually wish to achieve? Are they looking for compensation for the public purse? They did what they thought they needed to do. Yep, there were human rights violations in the interest of public health and public safety. But it was a bloody pandemic. It still is a bloody pandemic. Hasn't went anywhere. Woof. 40 people passed last week to this virus. That's more than in the first lockdown, when we went into the first lockdown. Do we keep the inquiry going forever? Or for as long as people are dying of this virus? And how many more families is he going to interview? Bloody pointless waste of time. Right, moving on. Monday, also here in the colony of Scotland, it's been reported that there is a crisis in the child-minding sector. Apparently, the workforce has seen a decline by 34% since 2016. I wonder how much of that is down to the Brexit effect. Bloody masty, actually. Anyway, no more cheap European labour, apparently. And I take that quote straight from Keir Starmer, where he said at the CBI last week that we must wean ourselves away from cheap migrant labour. Hey, wow. Nay. Sir Keir Starmer out-touring the Tories on immigration. Whatever happened to international solidarity within the Labour movement? Oof! And here's a bloody news flash for Labour and Sir Comrade fascist bastard Starmer. If it's cheap migrant labour, then the problem lies with the Westminster government, because they set something called the minimum wage, and every worker in the UK has to get that minimum wage. And here's another news flash for Sir Comrade fascist bastard Starmer, who didn't believe in worker solidarity. Guess what, Sir Comrade? That cheap migrant labour. There's about 10 million people in the UK getting paid the minimum bloody wage. So, migrant labour wasn't any cheaper than the cheap bloody labour in our own labour market. Fascist git. Racist right-wing, fascist Brexiteer git. So much for the labour movement and international solidarity. Wow! But here's a fucking Tory. The whole Labour Party is that far to the bloody right. The only thing that's missing is black shirts and bloody logos on the sleeves. Oof. Absolutely mental. Moving on, Monday. And senior medic Professor Rowan Park calls for debate on funding models for the NHS. Professor Park is a distinguished surgical professor. His list of achievements is quite impressive. You can just use your search engine and look up Professor Rowan Parks. Really impressive. Anyway, he lectures at Edinburgh Uni and is the head honcho at the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh. He is also president of the Association of Surgeons of Great Britain and Ireland. And it would appear the good doctor / professor sees the writing on the wall for the NHS in its current form. He can see the direction of travel in England and knows in the colony of Scotland, we'll be forced down the same route by our imperial masters in England. Now, it's a little unfair to generalise and to call us a colony of England, because let's face it, the regions in England are also treated like colonies by the Westminster elite and their elite, but hey, they voted for them. Now, our democratic rights are being denied, and their democratic rights are being stripped away by the governments that they elect. Now, in fact, all our democratic rights have been slowly stripped away over a period of 40 years. It started with Thatcher, with the war on trade unions, and carried on under Blair and Brown with the 2003 Terrorism Act, which actually introduced new forms of terrorism, especially here, and they've been beefed up by the Internal Security Bill. And these new forms of terrorism introduced by Labour also introduced something called an economic terrorist, whatever the hell that is. Right, anyway, and now it's been carried further on and further in by this particular Tory government which has been in power for 12 years. Now, the English people need to sit up and pay attention here. Their democratic rights are being stripped away, just the same way our democratic rights are being denied. Now, there's the Borders and Nationality Bill, the Police Crimes, Courts and Sentencing Bill, and the soon-to-be introduced Public Order Bill in England and Wales, which is stripping away their basic right to protest, which is the core and base of democracy. Fascists and fascism have their boots on here. The slippers are off, the boots are on. And we're hearing right-wing nut-job populist leaders like Starmer echoing Tory pish at the Confederation of British Industry. Now, so mental. So Starmer's trying to out the Tories, right? Now the boy Tories are in meltdown at the moment, believe it or not. They've got an internal civil war going on with the ERG, the European Reform Group, actually having a go at Sunak and Hunt because they believe Sunak and Hunt want closer ties with Europe. And while the Tories are actually, while the top two Tories are discussing closer ties with Europe because they know they can't win the next election with the economic meltdown that they have created, Sir Comrade Starmer is standing on the other side of the chamber, screaming, "I'm a better Brexiteer than you, Sunak!" Wow. Right, also Monday, right-wing fascist dictator Rishi Sunak, the present incumbent in number 10, tells us the golden years of closer economic ties with China are over. Ah well, there goes another potential lucrative market of billions of people to the UK economy. Aye, the imperial masters are shutting down the economy. There may be trouble ahead, but they're not just shutting down the economy, by the way. People, I know that we'll be aware of this, and some of the sensible people in Northern Ireland will be aware of this. But democracy in these islands is being held hostage by our imperial masters. They're stripping away the rights, the democratic rights of people in England, and unionists in Scotland are denying the democratic rights of the Scotland people, and unionists in Northern Ireland are holding democracy in Northern Ireland prisoner, and they are disrupting the democratic process because they're not getting their way. Unionists aren't the unionists, they're imperialists. And as far as they're concerned, they're better than the rest of us. So if we make democratic choices that don't suit them, then they're just to be denied or disrupted. Wales, watch out. But little England, you're in trouble. You might be laughing at your imperial idealisms and making a mockery of democracy in Scotland and in Northern Ireland. Try looking behind you, you spanner. Those imperial masters who are oppressing us are stripping away your rights too. Stupid is as stupid does. And you are sitting there watching your imperial elite deny democracy in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, and you don't even realise they're doing it to you too. Oofed. Okay, that's what I've got for you today so far. Kids, how about you look and see what the newspapers have got to say this morning, eh? No doubt there'll be all sorts of shenanigans and bollocks in them. So, Scotland's papers, let's see what the rags have got for us this morning, shall we? Right, Scotland's paper, UK probe over IndyRef 2 and calls for NHS debate. Scottish civil servants under scrutiny after Indy ruling. What Indy ruling? The Supreme Court said nothing about being able to get yourself prepared or becoming independent being illegal. They just said that under the 1998 Scotland Act, they bastards, dictators in the Labour Party, stole the Scottish people's sovereignty. They took our desire for home rule, stroke devolution, and they used it to trap us in this fucking union, to deny us our democratic right and our right to self-determination. Anybody that ever forgives the Labour Party for this sort of piss needs their head looked at. The right-wing loony knuckle draggers rag the Express has UK probe of civil servants work on under F2. They can fuck off. If we want to spend Scottish tax, if the Scottish government wants to spend Scottish taxpayers' money on manifesto pledges that we vote for them to spend our money on, it's got nothing to do with Westminster. Or top mandarins doing that road. The cuckoos in the nest want to roll their fucking heads in. They have no idea how bad the look they're painting here in Scotland with their democracy denying crap. Right, the other knuckle draggers rag, the Mail, top gammon rag that one. Sturgeon's bid to break up UK faces new blow. Britain's top mandarin is to probe Nicola Sturgeon's use of taxpayers. It's our fucking money! It's neither Westminster's business! And our Scottish government can spend our money on whatever manifesto pledges they have made. The National has major drive for post-Indy basic income launched. Let's get you Indy first before we start talking about decorating the house. The Herald has top doctor calls for debate on NHS future, and that's Professor Rowan Park. The Rancid has header ban too late for our Gordon. Did I miss something? The family of former Scotland footballer have welcomed a ban on heading and training. I guess we're going to see a lot more 10 bob heaters. The Times has Braverman wants Albanian migrants on fast track to deportation. And social media firms told to protect young or pay price. The Daily Tory Graph has social media fines for child accounts. And golden era with China is over, says Sunak, as he rejects the idea of trade will lead to democracy. So Sunak says that if we trade with China, it won't democratise them. And there seems to be mass protests in China right now about the COVID restrictions that are still in place. The Eye has Tory rebellion on wind farms, new threat to PM's authority. And apparently wind farms are ugly and unsightly and unreliable at producing power, according to the right-wing loonies and the Tory party. And the Metro runs on the American guy who fled to Scotland, who's accused of rape in the US. Rossi in UK rape probe, so apparently he's been up to the same business here. And the Star, what's the Star got? Beale. My Gers are real deal. I don't know who Beale is. And right now the Gers are just as bad as the rest of the teams in Scotland. Well, if no, pretty crap to be honest with you. Right, that's the rags this morning, folks. Oof. Well, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Now, they really are cramping themselves now, folks. They really are. The cuckoos in the nest along that road are asking for public inquiries into what the Scottish government spend their money on. You know, mental. They spend their money on the manifesto pledges that we elect them to act on. Absolutely nuts. Talk about democracy being undermined. Apparently on YouTube there's 122 watching live, but only 19 likes. Hit the like button, kids. It doesn't take much effort. Right. So let's say that's what I've got for you today. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. As I say, the cuckoos in the nest are crapping themselves. And Jack Brooks. Alistair Jack Boot Jack is trying to put his boot on our democracy and tell us what conditions we have to meet so that they'll say it's okay, we can have a democratic say in our future. You couldn't make this stuff up. As I say, Scotland is being held, democracy is being held to ransom by unionists. Northern Ireland's democracy is being held to ransom by a minority unionist. population there as well. But as I say, they're no unionists, they're fecking imperialists. And what the unionists in Northern Ireland don't realise is the unionists in Westminster are the unionists, they're imperialists and couldn't give a shite about Northern Ireland. Oof, mental. So there is a campaign going on, keep your eyes on your prize, learn how your gonies, get out there and win hearts and minds, especially explain to people how democracy has been undermined. Not just here in Scotland, but in Northern Ireland and in England and Wales as well. It's important that people wake up to this. I mean, I was really upset last Wednesday, not at the court judgment, at the reaction of the people of Scotland not willing to defend their democracy and their democratic rights. And we're watching Starmer out Tory the Tories when it comes to being a fecking fascist, racist Brexiteer. Wow. Now, I've been watching politics for a long time, especially since devolution came around. And democracy is in a really dangerous place on these islands right now, folks, and I seriously mean that. I mean, sometimes I can seem a wee bit out there, but I'm not. I'm expressing what I can see. I'm giving an opinion on what's happening in front of my face. And I'm hoping that you all see it too. And I'm just pointing out bits that you might have missed. Anyway, eyes on the prize. The campaign's heating up, kids. They know there's trouble ahead, so they're trying to dictate to us. So eyes on the prize. All right. Remember, support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live, Indie Live Radio. Support Caledon Media, support Cruise Radio, support the iScot magazine, which is a cracking publication, and support the national newspaper. Support independent vloggers and bloggers. If you've got a crowdfunder on the go and you've got a shekel to spare, which is highly bloody unlikely, throw it in the pot. These guys do great. I don't want money off you, as you know, but if you like what I do, press the like button, press the bell notification button, press the subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, give me 5 minutes. I end this and change the video to public, because right now only friends and family can see it. That's why the audience figures are trapped away a wee bit. But once it goes public and you guys share it, I'm still rating in 1,000, 2,000 viewers a day on Facebook. And there's viewers across 3 YouTube channels as well, as far as I know, and Discord. So a lot of people are still seeing it per day. Okay. Right, look after yourselves. Look after each other. Winter's starting to bite now. Keep an eye on each other. All right. Follow the last couple of bits of guidance. And if you're not feeling well, mask up, show a bit of social consciousness. All right. Look after each other. We're back tomorrow to bang my head against the wall at some of the stupidity that's going on in politics these days. Wow. Here's a lot. Have a nice day. Bye for now.